Hello everybody, and I hope you're doing well on this day, wherever it may be, wherever you're at. This is kind of a dual purpose video, but my main point here is since YouTube did away with their video responses for some reason, I'll just have to do it this way. I've got I'm subscribed to this guy named Ron Van Dyke, and he was referred to me by one of my subscribers. And him and Max Eigen and this guy that I was recommended to today, all these new people I'm finding that I've never heard of, and once in a while I'll get a comment from one of my viewers saying, hey, watch this, see what you think. And they always know, it's always good, and it's usually a radio show with someone who really resonates with me and shares similar interests. Guys like Max Eigen. I may not believe 100%, or should I say agree 100% with everything he says. I agree with it enough to listen. And Ron was the same way. Ron Van Dyke, he's got some interesting views, but he made a video the other night about, or maybe it was today, about fear-mongering, and is it necessary? And I don't know the guy. I haven't watched many of his videos, but I got the impression he's kind of like the rest of us. That's once the veil was lifted, 10, 12 years ago, when mass amounts of people started to see through the bullshit. All the lies, all the government bullshit that we've been told, all the secret societies, all the information that came out. I think that the fear-mongering has now reached an all-time high, and there's people like Alex Jones who spread a bunch of garbage and get people riled up over nothing, but really have no resolve or anything. He never. You can always tell a fraud when they don't present any solution, and all they do is get people riled up and worried about their guns, worried about their rights, worried about martial law. And I understand, because I've been there. We all go through cycles in life, and the older you get, the bigger the cycles. It's wheels within wheels, right? You've got cycles within cycles within cycles. You have your daily cycles, your weekly cycles, and then your personal cycles. And I go through some personal cycles that are wild, but I might be have more of a peace-loving attitude for a while, then I might be like a hey, fuck off attitude for a while, and I think that that's natural. And that comes with embracing the darkness within yourself and realizing that you have each one of us has a degree of complexity that makes us not act in ways that we would like to act, and that's emotionally driven. So John McDonald made a video the other night. He talked about whether or not or violence, and he it takes balls to say that violence is man's nature. You might as well embrace it and deal with it, and I totally agree with him on that. The reason being is because violence and anger is a result of emotion, and emotion is a result of either want or need or circumstance. And sometimes we have circumstances that are beyond our control, such as the person who has more than you and you have nothing, your kids are starving. You might do anything to feed your children. And I think that the same goes for anger over defending your family over danger. A person would get violent if it was necessary. But this idea that there's some utopian goal, that there's going to be this perfect world where no one argues, is ridiculous. There's always going to be some sort of angst and animosity. It's part of being human. But to answer the question, in my mind, of whether or not we need the fear-mongering, no, I don't think we do. I think when the information puts itself out there, or when it's presented, the people can look at it and rationalize and decide if they want to believe it or not. But what it comes down to is, what are you going to do about it? Where are the solutions? We could complain about what might have happened on 9/11 till we're blue in the face, but it ain't going to change the fact that we'll never know, and we'll never be able to agree 100% on what really happened anyway. And the government's never going to tell us. It's just, we need to move forward and move beyond wasting all this time on. I think the biggest issue I have is a lot of these channels are cashing in on people's fears, because fear is an emotion. Therefore, fear drives, it has an addictive quality to it. You know, all emotions pump us full of something, and fear pumps us full of adrenaline. And when you can turn on the news each morning on your YouTube channel, and all you have is negative channels where they're talking about how this happened and this happened, and look how screwed we are now, you know, that's how you're going to feel. And if you expose yourself to that, that's just going to be your life. That's what you're involved in. And so it seems like when someone comes along with a rational question like, hey, do you have any evidence of this? The people go, jump down their throat, don't even know what the hell how to respond with intellect. And it's because it's the extreme opposite end of being ignorant. It's like being over-educated to what you think is true, and being so convinced that it's true that it becomes the most important thing. And so, like I said, with the cycles, I've been through my prepper cycles, where I was worried tomorrow about the solar flare that was going to come, or which next attack was going to come. And this came after an incident that happened. My wife just told me about this. I haven't looked into the information, but supposedly there was an attack in Washington, D.C. by an ex-military, ex-Navy guy or something, and he had clearance, and he went in and shot like 14 people. That's all I know about it. And that he was supposedly had been hearing voices in his head, and that they hadn't done anything about it, and it was probably a schizophrenia onset or something similar. But guess what's going to happen? And I know this. It's going to get blown out of proportion. People are going to start saying that he was MK Ultra, and that he was mind controlled, and that he was programmed to do this so they could instill martial law. And it's just a bunch of bullshit, because nothing happens anymore in the world that isn't planned or a conspiracy. And that's, in my eyes, is ignorance, just saying everything is God's will, and that's just the way it is. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but we still have the power to decide what we want to inform ourselves about. And I gotta say, props to Rage Against the Machine. I was just in there listening to Rage, and that band. What happened to real political movements in music? It's all just become garbage, and we blame the media, we blame the mainstream, but it's the people that want the crap, and we have to stop demanding garbage. Band like Rage, who would talk about major, issues like war and smuggling humans in crates and stuff that people just don't talk about. Vietnam, and we've lost touch. We've lost touch with what's important. We don't tackle the issues that we really can know about, the ones that we can really prove and handle. We just don't even want to get our hands dirty. We'd rather just worry about things that we know we can't solve. And when I say we, I guess I mean they, because I'm not one of them. I'm done with it. I'm done with the aggressions and the hostility towards others. I'm done with the every single thing that's happening being linked to some sort of giant conspiracy. And even if it is true, even if every single thing is a conspiracy, or every single number pattern has some underlying matrix quality and pattern in the illusion, who cares? Who cares? It really makes no difference. What was really important is, what can we do to change the fucked up nature of the world that we live in today? And I'm not talking about the world itself, I should say, the structure we've created, this illusion that we've created. And we're keeping ourselves down because of it. And the reason I come out and say this is because I try to avoid a lot of that type of paranoia news, anything that makes you fear. But I keep aware of it, and I keep up on the new things that are happening. I'm aware of the drone fears. I'm aware of martial law fears, and I've done the homework to understand where those fears come from, and whether those things are actually implementable or not. And the ones that I can't solve, I move on. And you will always find what you're looking for. We always figure that out one way or another. If I put enough numbers together. When I'm sitting in my car, I saw a license plate on the way home. It said 072 were the numbers. And I always, I've been seeing some crazy synchronicities lately. And I looked at my account info the other night, and it was like one of them was like 244.44, and the other one was 422.22, and I went down the list, and it was like all these certain marks in the last 6 months of the amount that was in the account, all quadruple digits. There were like 7 of them, and you know, I kind of laugh at and think, oh, there's another synchronicity, because I've been seeing 144 everywhere lately. And this ties into what I'm saying, because I've noticed that there's the other end of the spectrum, and this is one we can't ignore. There's not just the fearmongers. There's the floaty, peaceful, every single thing matters people. That's a bad way to say it, but the ones who see into everything. You can always look for the good in something, but if you look too deep, you're always going to find something more. There's actually a saying I really like, which is like an onion, you know, layers upon layers you peel, you will find layer upon layer behind. And that's you know, that's how life is. Every single thing is built of multiple structures, microcosms and macrocosms, you know. So people look into things, and they'll always find one way to look at everything as meaningful. And perhaps it is. But how is that helping you? And how is that working for you? You know, if you can see triple digits, you can see 44 all the time. That's great. But is it helping you or anyone else? And so we use that as kind of our faith builder. You know, we have these structures of things that keep us going. And so we need that. I'm not dissing the idea of numbers. I love numbers. I'm saying that we use that as a tool to keep ourselves sane, to find the things that we're looking for. And sometimes when we find something we're not looking for, we dismiss it. So I think that the things that we dismiss in our social atmosphere are things that we feel like we can tackle, but we don't have the energy to tackle, such as cleaning up your local park, or offering assistance to the soup kitchen or some elderly, or making yourself available as a big brother or sister. We would rather sit and type away and complain about things that we can't even prove and have absolutely no evidence of, other than speculation and a few documents that could have been falsified. And while I'm on that, you know, there has been a lot of disinfo out there, you know, and this has been going on for a long time. When the people get into something and they catch on to what's going on, the powers that be, they put a cap on that by, you know, that's where the real shills come in. People who are paid to spread bullshit and lies. And it's just as easy for an NSA guy or a CIA guy to sit behind a desk and type like an 18-year-old kid and pretend like he saw this and that, and create a conspiracy within the conspiracy, like say the 9/11 is a good example. You know, I know there's more to that story than the stated story by our government. Obviously, a lot of people don't. They think that that's just what happened. You know, terrorists attacked. They planned it all out. We had nothing to do with it. I'm not going to go into my personal ideas of what happened, because that's speculation like everyone else's. But I've done the homework. I've looked at all the info, and supposedly there's this recent video that came out that, you know, there's a CGI clip in there where they claim that it was or that it was, you know, evidence that it was fake, or I haven't looked into the details. Somebody was talking about it, and they said that the whole thing is bunk, and it's been passed around like a viral video, and everybody's buying into it. And what happens is they put out something that's obviously bullshit, people buy into it, and then they turn it around and make all the conspiracy people look like nuts. Because this shit is happening. A lot of these things are happening, and it's not that I'm saying, oh, you know, the world's dandy and that there's no conspiracy going on. There's nobody trying to control the money supply. There's nobody trying to control the world. No, there are people, and there are dark forces. And I don't know. I don't go as far as to call that good or evil. It's just energies, different forms of energy. And when you're fearful, when you're buying into the fear, you're feeding into the darkness, and you're magnifying that, you're resonating that among other fearful people. When you ignore it and move on with your life and live it to its fullest without paying attention to what everybody else says about how they think things might have been, or, you know, one guy who claims that he's got the true evidence and everybody else is wrong, these things sort themselves out. if something's true, it takes off. People figure it out. People use their sense, but not everybody has common sense. But I think we can stop the fear mongering. I think we can stop the division and come together in agreement that life is too beautiful of a thing to waste away on animosity, jealousy, greed, or fear. And they say stress will cut your life by like a quarter. I mean, I don't doubt it. Stress releases cortisol and it clogs up your body with adrenaline, hormones. It's bad, you know, bad stuff. And I know people don't always think that they're fearful, but when you're looking into these news articles and you're worried about how much ammunition you can have and how many clips you can have for your gun, you're fearful. And I understand that because, you know, I have dried food. I have food stored. I don't doubt that tomorrow there could come a major disaster that would affect us all. I don't doubt it at all. In fact, unfortunately, as much as I would like to believe that we can pull ourselves out of this and actually turn society around, because I say that, you know, in some of my videos, that we can get out of this, you know. In my heart of hearts, I know that we could. But deep down inside, my vibe tells me that we won't. That unfortunately society will collapse. I can't fight that. That's just a truth that I feel. That society has to get sicker to get better. And I don't know how it's going to take shape. You know, a lot of people are afraid that there's going to be a virus released that'll wipe out the world, you know, or something. And it could just as easily be a knockout of the grid by a major CME, you know, a solar flare. Magnetic disturbance in the earth, it could be an asteroid, it could be anything. So worrying about it's not going to do you any good because it could come from any angle, you know. It's like being in the dark in a fist fight with someone who's wearing night vision goggles and you just don't know where the blow is going to come from. You know it's going to come. You're hoping it doesn't, but when it does, it can come from any side. And you're only going to hear the wind wisping right before that fist hits you. So be aware of all the different things that could happen, all the different conspiracies or stories or fear-mongering that could be true. Learn as much as you can about it. File it away in the back of your mind. So when something happens, say, you know, a large portion of the population, if they saw a aurora borealis here on the, say if their lights went out and then they saw an aurora here in, you know, the lower states, people wouldn't understand what it was, you know, unless they'd done the studies to realize that that's a magnetic disturbance. The whole grid could have gone down. At that point, you could see the aurora, make a decision to go out and buy yourself, get as much food as you can, you know, get ready for anything that could happen. Another good example would be to, well, it could be like, well, there are a lot of different things, a lot of different ways it could come, so I'll just end it there. Just be aware and know what could happen, and know for the signs that could possibly lead to something, and then just file it away in your mind and go on living. Because if every day you're worried about an attack, if every day you're worried about a virus, if every day you're worried about, you know, somebody coming to get you or kicking in your door, or, you know, the military coming to your house. I mean, there are people out there that just sit armed at their house, think that they're being watched. I mean, the fear gets to such a point where it's just all-consuming, and and it's just like love and just like hate. You don't want the hate to consume you. You don't want the love to consume you either, because you have to have balance. Be aware. I guess that's all I got. Peace.